right, I'm here with Marcedes Lewis from the Green Bay Packers. Welcome to LA.
What's up, bro?
Hey. You're from LA, right?
Yeah, I'm originally from Long Beach, California.
Okay, cool.
Went to UCLA. Now I live in Hollywood, so it's pretty much my place.
Well, there you go. So I welcome you back from
Appreciate
Green Bay.
it. Appreciate it.
How do you like Green Bay, like the area where you live?
Green Bay is one of those places. I mean, I've kind of been fortunate enough to play for, two teams that city-wise is not much to do, so it's easy to focus there.
Yeah.
I think Green Bay they're crazy about their football. Small, but, the tradition is big and you can kind of feel it when you're there.
Yeah.
Besides that, it's like 24 degrees there right now.
That's crazy. Yeah. I mean, out here is like a vacation.
Yeah.
Because today's cold for us. Obviously, it's 67, 70, and that's like a cold LA day.
Right.
24 would be insane.
24 degrees, snowing.
Yeah.
Off and on. Sometimes it'll rain.
Yeah. What's it like preparing for training, preparing for games in that kind of like temperature? Like,
well, I think the good part about it is, like, people always ask me, like, how do you do it out there in the cold like that? But, we're not necessarily out in the cold 100% of the time. It's really to our advantage. So when we are playing at home and it's snowing and the weather is like crazy, we normally practice outside for half the practice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just to kind of get acclimated to it with the surface and stuff like that.
Is the surface heated? I know they have that in England with the soccer. Yeah.
It's heated, but you really don't notice it because it's just so
that's
cold.
Just to get rid of the frost.
Yeah,
so
exactly. Exactly.
So, I mean, that's crazy because I think, like, for a team like you, and you have an advantage for some, like, say the Rams come out there and play, they're not used to that temperature. It's like, would you say that's an advantage?
No question.
Yeah.
No question. It's definitely an advantage. If you're not used to catching the ball, running your routes, keeping your feet underneath you so you're not slipping all over the place.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, like, we're all humans, so every now and then it'll happen for both teams.
Yeah.
But, when you practice it, and you're more apt to be able to handle the situation better.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. It's like cool runnings. Cold weather conditioning is essential for, So.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, cool. And then I think you have like an interesting story because I know we've spoken about it before. That you went to UCLA you had a basketball scholarship and a football scholarship.
Right.
And we were just talking about your psychology major. You're still doing that while you're playing as well. So let's how did that work out? Like that you got a basketball and football?
So, I started playing football when I was 7 years old. On the east side of Long Beach, went to Long Beach Poly High School.
Yeah.
And then, I started playing basketball, I'll say my freshman year in high school.
Yeah.
Was the first time I ever started playing, like, organized basketball. And I just got really good really fast. And, I had already committed to UCLA for football my junior year. And then I got offered a basketball scholarship to UCLA my senior year. So all I did was just had them put it in the same offer letter.
Yeah.
And, I played both for 2 years at UCLA. And then, it was a lot just in general playing two sports in college and really just, focusing on work. And, at that time, I didn't know, like, my body is like I do now. It was one of those things like, okay, I'm here, it's fun, but my weight keeps fluctuating. I can't excel like I want to.
Yeah, because it's two totally different things. And, I found that to do well at something, you have to go 100% all in that direction, and then it kind of becomes like basketball and football. You need a different body for each one, right? Like, you need a bigger frame for football, and not necessarily a bigger frame for basketball. Exactly.
So for football, I was 245 my sophomore junior year.
Yeah.
And for basketball, like, I was getting down to like 220, 225. And, as a young man, and as a young man trying to figure out the balance and how to do that smart, it was just tough.
Yeah, I think that's like, when you're young, you can kind of do that. But then also now, like you said, you know your body really well. And it's kind of like that balance, because you see like a Tom Brady who's like in his 40s and he knows his body really well.
For sure.
You're 35, you know your body really well. And like, that's crazy for me that you've played. How many seasons in the NFL that you played?
This is 14.
14. And I think we've also spoken about this before. It's like the expected career of an NFL player, or the average is like, what is it, 2 seasons?
2 to 3 years.
2 to 3 years?
2 to 3 years.
And you played, 11 years, 12 years, more than that average. And how do you feel that you've been able to sustain that for that long?
I mean, obviously it's a blessing, and I've always looked at it as a privilege.
Yeah.
I never looked at it, as being entitled, like I'm supposed to do this just because I'm good.
Yeah.
And I think having that perspective, it's helped me in the long run to, always have respect for everything that I'm doing when I'm at work, right?
Yeah.
Always representing my team in a good light, and never out doing anything that I'm not supposed to be doing. So that's one. That's one side of it. And then the other side of it is, when I'm on that field, or I'm in the building, there's nothing more important, right? And putting everything that I have for the sport into it.
Yeah.
And I've always been able to get what I put into it. I've gotten it back. Just because that's how I conduct myself.
Yeah. Would you say there's a level of selflessness that has to, in a team environment, that has to kind of be a part of that?
For sure. I think, especially football, I can speak for football. It's an ultimate team sport.
Yeah.
And the ones that understand that and get that and can gel the quickest normally are the most successful.
Yeah. Yeah, because, it's such a big squad too. Like, the roster's 52, is it?
Yeah, so it's a 53-man roster.
53-man roster, yeah.
And we normally come into the season, like OTAs, in like the mid-90s, So you could think about that. It's
a lot of people.
45 dudes, 50 dudes that are not going to make it.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's crazy. And your preseason's pretty short comparatively to other, like, how long is your...
Yeah, so our preseason right now, as it stands today, 4 games. The first game, normally the starters play a series. The second game, the starters normally play maybe a series or 2.
Yeah.
The third game, normally guys play the most in.
Yeah.
So the third game, guys normally play quarter and a half just to get a rhythm. And then the fourth game, the starters won't play. And then the young guys will, go at it because they're still on the bubble trying to make a roster and things like that. So, yeah.
Do you think that, like, I was listening to a conversation about, can't remember who I was hearing it from, but the preseason being 4 games and the seasons being, I think, 16 weeks. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think that it should be a 2-game preseason and then a 18-game season, or you think it's good as it is, or there's a bit of debate about that?
Well, I don't like preseason.
Yeah.
And
you just want to get into it, right?
Yeah. Because like I would definitely be an advocate for 2 games in the preseason and just add, the other 2 onto the regular season. Because if you think about it, preseason, we're not even really getting paid. You know what I mean? Like, it's a couple thousand a week, but we're still taking the same risk. You can still get hurt. You can still, you can still be hurt and be done for the year or your career. So that's why, it's a lot of guys that, like, it's like self-preservation mode in the preseason.
And that can be kind of, like, worse because, I don't know, if you're not going 100%, that's when you get hurt.
No question.
You're trying to preserve yourself for the season. So if you're putting that, if you're in a regular season game, you're going 100%, I feel like you would have less chance of getting injured because you're not kind of trying not to get injured or something. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I agree. I think, it's it's always like a touchy subject. You know what I mean? Like the preseason is like and don't get me wrong. Sometimes, you want to get out there because you want to get the season started. But at the end of the day, you want to get out there and get off the field. You know what I mean? Like you don't want to risk everything that you've worked for in the off season just to get injured in the preseason and can't even make it to the regular season. So
yeah. Well, I mean, let's talk about injuries. Have you had any like major injury setbacks in your career?
Nah, I've never no surgeries, no major injuries, a couple calf strains.
Yeah,
but nothing sideline me. You know.
Yeah, well, I mean that's incredible because I know it's such a high contact sport, and I think maybe your preparation has a lot to do with that. Is that what it is? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, the NFL is 100% injury rate, and we know what we sign up for. Anything can happen. But if you give yourself the best chance going into the season by how you take care of your body in the off season and have a routine, I think that's my number one answer when people ask me about playing so long is, have a routine and find a vet and figure out what he does, to keep himself ready mentally and physically. And, I think that I've been able to establish that now.
Well, who was that for you then that you kind of went to?
So when I got to Jacksonville, Fred Taylor, who played running back there, great guy, just took me under his wing, and he played running back. So for him to take me under his wing and I'm a tight end, I thought that was really dope. And we're still friends to this day, and we still talk ball. He was the first one that told me when I was a rookie when I got there, after like our first couple of practices in training camp, my first training camp. He was like, you keep practicing like this and you keep taking it serious, you're going to be in this league for a very long time. Yeah. And, I didn't know what he meant by that. Like, I knew what he meant, but you just don't know until you get in that situation. And here I am in year 14, so now we laugh about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that's, like, interesting. When you're a kid, your dad tells you something and you're like, you don't really get it. And then when you're 30 years old, I know what he's talking about now. Yeah, so exactly. It's kind of like that. And I guess you being 35 and a veteran yourself now, are you able to kind of take any young guys under your wing and kind of share
for sure wisdom? I think that's all. It's all a part of the plan, all a part of my purpose. Not just going out there and playing to the best of my ability, but also leading from the front and leading the right way. And guys that really care normally are the ones that I make sure that they understand. Yeah. Normally they weed themselves out. You got some guys that are motivated for different reasons, and you got some guys that you see are like more like you. Yeah, they get it.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, and then you make a connection with those.
Exactly.
Guys, like, this is a young version of me, or something for like sure. that, and they could have a long career also. So.
Exactly.
Let's talk about like you guys are having a great season this year, and you have a great quarterback, and I know he had some trouble with injury last year, but I saw him play one game last year with 1 foot, like he was on one leg basically. And what's it like playing with him, as your quarterback? He's
different, man. Not just like as a person, but just as a football player. Like as a football player and a leader, I don't think I've ever been in a room and on the field with a guy like him. And just super cerebral, very smart. Yeah. He gets it. And he's one of those guys like what I was just talking about. If he knows that you care about it, he's going to be more apt to pull you in and make sure that you're going to be going in the right direction. He's I don't know. It's a pleasure working with him and being able to be out there on the field and look across from him knowing that as long as he's in a huddle, we got a chance to win every game.
Yeah. Yeah, that must give you confidence and, just kind of make you, like, raise you up as a player.
For sure.
Well. Yeah, so because he's up there with the Tom Brady and, like, in the league.
No question.
For sure.
Yeah. No question. He's a different cat. The stuff that he can do on that field and the stuff that he does in practice, like people see what he does in a game, but he practices that type of stuff. Crazy throws, no-look throws, just such a competitor.
I feel like you kind of need to do that, and it's not just, you don't just fluke those things,
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I had so much respect for him because I didn't know really much about him when I saw that game. I can't remember what game it was. It was like early last season.
Against Chicago.
Yeah, and he got taken off.
Yeah, hurt his knee. Came back in. We were down by like 2 touchdowns. And he literally like just brought us all the way back on one leg.
Yeah, one leg. And I was like, that is just amazing.
Yeah.
It was,
He's different, man.
Yeah. So cool. So you've been at Green Bay now for...
So this is my second year.
Second year.
It's my second year in Green Bay. And
you guys are contenders this year.
Yeah. So right now we're first in our division.
Yeah.
And God willing, we continue to do what we're doing and stay humble and continue to learn and continue to get better every day.
Yeah.
We're playing for home field advantage in the playoffs, a first round bye. We it's all right there in front of us as long as we can stay focused.
And that's important too. So,
Very.
Yeah. So that gives you the opportunity to go deeper.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, the Patriots, they live at home in the playoffs, so, we're trying to get that mold.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you guys will. But yeah, you got to stay on the track, like you said. And
For sure. Stay focused.
It is a long season and but you guys are on the right track right now. So God willing.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Yeah. Let's talk more about you're obviously a stylish guy, and we're doing this podcast we're a fashion company, and I know you've been a big supporter of our brand and me. I've spoken at Soho House, and you came to that, and opening in my New York store, you flew out especially for that, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure.
So maybe let's talk about fashion and what inspires you and all that kind of stuff. And I know you worked with a stylist before, and do you have a stylist now?
Nope.
Okay, so you're styling yourself.
Yeah. I'm just chilling,
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like your body, your fashion now too. So yeah. So are you big into fashion?
I am.
Yeah,
I am. I am more. And I've always been like this. I'm not the flashy guy, you know. I feel like simplifying your look works for me.
Yeah.
And, I feel like sometimes when you're too much, it takes away from who you are.
Yeah. Kind of like when you see a guy wearing, a bunch of different labels, but the labels are wearing him rather than him.
Exactly. It's just tacky.
Yeah.
It's more to show off how much money you have as opposed to, really looking good, And, this I can go back all the way to when I was like in the 6th grade. And my mom, I remember I came home one day and I was just upset. My mom was like, "Boy, what's wrong with you?" And I was like, "Man, I'm getting teased at school because I don't have any new clothes, and I keep wearing the same clothes, And obviously, we didn't have money for me to get certain things. And I remember my mom saying, she was like, "Mark, you are handsome. You are beautiful. You don't need all these extra clothes. Like whatever you wear, you're gonna make it look good."
Yeah.
And that just stuck with me all the way up. And so now I'm pretty simple. I love my basics. Jeans, tee, dad hat, dope sneakers, that's me.
Yeah. And that's perfect.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think that's you develop a uniform and it becomes your look.
For sure.
For me, it's been cargo pants and a crew neck sweatshirt and a good pair of my shoes, So it's kind of like
for sure.
People probably see me wearing that all the time, and that's just like what I feel comfortable in, and so I can relate to that.
Yeah.
Even now, I just made a new basics collection
because
I've been doing more stuff recently with prints.
Okay.
And that's kind of, those do really well for us. But for me, I'm like, sometimes I just want to have like a basic sweatshirt, whether it's just a good fit that goes with, color wise with what I'm wearing.
Right.
And then maybe the logo is subtle where it's like tonal and so it's not like
like not visible like that.
Just,
like it's laid.
Yeah. So,
you really got to look to be like, what's that? Oh.
Yeah, so that's kind of what we're doing with that.
For sure.
That was the idea, because I'm like, especially in LA, you just those are your everyday uniform.
Yep.
So
definitely have a uniform.
Yeah.
And it's just your go-to. When you wake up in the morning, I can close my eyes and go to my closet.
Yeah.
And know what I'm putting on.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you go in my closet, I'm like Batman.
Yeah.
It's like,
for sure.
You got like camo cargo pants, 5 pairs, and it's like, so you just, people think I wear the same ones all the time, but
Right. I definitely have 2 and 3 of the same things.
Yeah, you like it, you want
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have 2 of the same hats, 3 of the same sweater,
Yeah.
Remember that one time I came to the store and I was like, well, I'm gonna get the sweater in a 1X and in a double.
Yeah.
Like I've done that a few times because sometimes depending on where I'm going, I like a 1X.
Yeah.
And then sometimes depending on where I'm at, I'll wear the oversized look,
Sure.
So that's just how it is.
I've been like that too. Sometimes I get like a large T-shirt or an extra large T-shirt, depending on how I'm going to layer that T-shirt or
Exactly.
wear it. Yeah, so definitely. And then I like to get multiple colors of things that I like.
Okay.
If I like a T-shirt or a sweatshirt, well, I'm gonna get all the colors.
Right.
It's kind of easier for me to do that with my own stuff because I can just take it from the shelf.
Right.
But I was like that a bit before. If I really like something, I would want to get multiples of that thing, and to change it up, you change the color.
For sure.
Yeah, but I would still kind of stick to the color I like a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's cool. So, well, being that you're from Long Beach, we have a new sweatshirt. I'm not trying to plug the sweatshirt, but you got to pick up one of those because I didn't know that you were from Long Beach.
Yep.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I was born on the east side of Long Beach.
Yeah.
And shit, that's where I grew up. There my whole life.
What was it like growing up there back? Was that the 90s then? I would say.
Yeah. No, it was tough. The riots, all of that. Like it was a big deal. And my mom had me at 15 years old, so she was always working 2 jobs. So I was literally, for the most part, I was at the crib by myself. For the most part,
Yeah.
She had me at 15, had my brother when she was 18.
That's crazy.
So by the time I was 8, she had taught me how to cook. I was super domestic, you know what I mean? Like I would walk my brother to school and take care of my business, pick him up, come home. My mom would come back home. She'd prepare whatever it was that we were going to eat, go back to work. I'd make sure my brother ate and got into bed. Like it was, my childhood, was accelerated, at a very fast rate. And
see that those kind of things are not necessarily a bad thing though, because
not at all.
You're exposed to responsibility higher than other people probably are exposed to it at a younger age, and that's kind of like I feel like that would shape you as a person.
Yeah, no, it definitely has. And
14 years in the league, so yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't change it. Obviously, there were times growing up where I'm like, man, like why is my mom so hard on me? Like why? I was like I was the first one. I have 3 siblings, and I was like the first one. And my mom's a young mom at the time, so growing up in the hood, she's a young mom working 2 jobs.
Yeah.
She's trying to keep her thumb on me to make sure I'm doing right, but I'm still in the street. Like it was, that cliche life growing up.
Yeah.
And at one point it just clicked for me. And when I was growing up, like in school, very intelligent, good grades, but when it came to like being in the street, I was out there, and I got in trouble. I got arrested before.
Yeah.
And, when I got arrested, I was 13, about to turn 13. And
what did you do?
So it was me and like 4 of my boys. We would always go to this store and steal from this store.
Yeah.
It's like a grocery store, right? So we'd go steal from the grocery store, and we was doing that for like a couple of months. And they had us on surveillance for a couple of months, like just waiting to catch us. But we'd always go to the store and just steal like food, whatever we get our hands on, we would take. But we'd always take that food back to this like abandoned like crib. It was like abandoned like apartment building.
Yeah.
And we literally set up shop in there. So whenever after school, when we wanted to just chill, that's where we would go.
Yeah.
And so one day, cops ran down on us. My boys broke, and I just kind of like stopped. I like froze, like.
Yeah.
And I think that was just God's way of being like, yo, you need to chill. It's better things for you ahead, and at the road you're going, you're never going to be able to accomplish none of that.
Yeah. It's kind of a good wake-up call.
Yeah. And, I got arrested, went down to the station, all of that. And my mom, at the time, one of her jobs, she worked as a dispatcher at a company called Platt Security.
Yeah.
And Platt Security, Platt Security and Long Beach Police Department, like all the dispatchers and everybody knew each other.
Yeah.
Okay? So they hit my mom up.
She found out that way.
Exactly. They hit my mom up like, hey, Yvonne, we got your son. Like, what do you want us to do? And my mom was like, leave him in there. So my mom left me in there for a day.
That's crazy.
And
very good lesson, right?
Yeah. She came, picked me up. Shit, I got whooped when I got home. And then I think after that was like the turning point. It's like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Like, and then shit, went to high school and never looked back, man.
Yeah. Are you still friends with any of the guys from the neighborhood that you grew up with? Or?
Just a couple. Yeah. And I say friends very loosely. Yeah. You know what I mean? If I go home and I see them and they're there, then yeah. But I'm far removed from the life that could have put me in a different arena than what I am in now. So,
yeah, for sure.
But yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of tough because you don't want to be like, oh, I'm a big superstar now, but it's like getting out of that environment was necessary to grow to some degree. So I can definitely see,
for sure
that would be.
Like and don't get me wrong, like I still go back. I have my youth football camps in Long Beach. I'm always at my high school. Like donate to my high school. It's not like that. It's just like okay.
Yeah.
Every year, not even just then, but every year in my life, like I trim the fat, meaning I assess where I am, who's around me, ulterior motives, all of that stuff. And I kind of, I don't, like these aspects of my life don't need to be there.
Yeah.
And so just as you evolve and look in the mirror, you always want to experience great growth. Well, how are you going to get there? You figure out,
Fat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
I can definitely agree with that, attest to that, because you have to really keep your circle, I mean, not necessarily tight, but you have to kind of take note of what's around you. And one way I kind of assess people in my environment is how do I feel after I've been around them? Do I feel, you kind of feel a little bit weird, but you don't know why? Or, do you feel like, oh, that I kind of feel a little bit like raised up now,
For sure.
So it's kind of like, for me, that's how I kind of assess things. Like, how do I feel in that? Like,
for sure.
I didn't feel so great around that guy. I don't know what it was, but it was just, you get like a gut feeling or something like that.
You definitely, vibration never lies.
Yeah. And sometimes you get that vibration a little too late.
Yeah.
But then you learn, and then it's like.
For sure.
Yeah. So.
It's, like I definitely, I'm big on energy, and if I don't feel it, it's hard for me to be fake. Like I'll walk out, no matter where I'm at. Like if I'm feeling a certain way, I'll just be like, all right, y'all, like I'm out. Like,
yeah.
But I definitely, if you're not a positive force in my life, then we don't got nothing to talk about.
Yeah, I think you got to have integrity with yourself on that.
For sure.
Yeah, because I think some people hang around with people that they think, well, I have to do this, and I have to be with this person or something like that. So it's kind of takes a bit of strength to actually, I gotta cut ties here or something like that. So yeah. But I think for the most part, people are good people.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I mean, I go into it with open mind, open heart, and I let you hang yourself. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like,
yeah. So, well, cool. I mean, what's next for Marcedes? I know, you're still playing, and you're planning to play for a lot longer. You got, you're physically doing well.
Yeah, I'm in my 14th year. I feel amazing. I'm still playing at a high level.
Yeah.
I for sure one more. I have 2 in me if I really want to do that.
Are you signed for those?
No, not yet. So I'm on contract for this year, and I'll be a free agent next year.
And were you free agent last?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're just taking it season by season.
Just so.
I think that's good though.
Yeah, I'm taking it season by season. I'm 35 years old. I don't ever want to be in a situation where I sign a contract and can't.
Yeah.
Complete my duty.
Yeah.
So, it's working for me, and this year I feel really good, and we just happen to be doing really well, so it's even better.
Yeah, I mean, I think necessarily if you got a contract for 5 years, it's kind of hard to stay motivated to some degree. I'm just my observation because you got 5 years is a long time.
Yep.
And you see players come, they sign their big 5 year, and then the 5th year is when they play well or something like that. And
right.
So to you signing the 1 by 1, like you said, you're not locked into anything, but also, you can prove your worth and
keeps you motivated.
Yeah. You make what you're worth for next season as well.
Exactly.
So, and then, some other team could pick you up so it's kind of like, my dad said that to me when I was playing rugby. It's like, it's better for you to be on this because it's incentive based, and you just it's just, and I didn't agree with him at the time, but I was
right.
It is true because you don't have a choice but to perform. And,
you can kind of you
control where you go.
Exactly.
Yeah. So definitely. Well, what's your aspirations for life after football?
Well, I'm an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I love helping people. I mean, I dibble and dabble with being an analyst. So I've gotten my reps in with Fox. I've gotten my reps in with NFL Network. I love talking ball.
Yeah.
So it'd be, and I love MMA. I've been doing mixed martial arts for 7 years now, and I'll probably do that full time for sure.
Oh, for sure.
Just for the training.
Oh yeah. Would you compete?
Maybe grappling or jiu-jitsu. But I'm not trying to get my face beat up for no reason. But the grappling side, rolling around, maybe trying to compete and get belts and rank up. That'll be something that'll push me and keep that competitive side going for me.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, because you have to have a game. So, business is a game.
Exactly.
MMA would be a good game too. Do you feel like that grappling has helped you in your football?
For sure.
Yeah.
It's the wrestling, the jiu-jitsu, the grappling part of it helps you learn your body. And what you're capable of and what your weaknesses are, how to move somebody against their will based on what they're not doing.
Yeah.
Right? As opposed, because everybody's big, strong, and fast, right?
But
so what's going to set you apart? Exactly. Yeah. What's going to set you apart that little bit to open up a hole for the running back when you catch the ball to get hit, stay on balance, and keep going. There's little stuff like that I've been able to pick up that, it's just an innate ability to do well when I'm in contact or in those positions.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you play in heavy contact, so heavy traffic. And even in rugby, I remember when I was playing, it was we did wrestling and stuff like that, and it helped to slow the play down because in rugby it's a continuous play.
Yeah.
So I was practicing that, and then, but there's different things you learn. It's when that guy's got this foot up.
Exactly. His power, he's off balance here.
Even have you ever had someone lie on the ground and you put your hand on their forehead?
Nah.
They can't get up. Doesn't matter how strong they are.
Really?
It's I'm pretty sure that was I've seen you can't get up. It's
wow. Yeah. I'm gonna try that now.
Yeah. So I don't necessarily know if that's something that's useful in NFL, but in rugby when you're trying to slow down the ruck.
Oh, gotcha.
It's useful in that.
Okay.
Because then it lets your team set up again.
Gotcha.
Because you guys, I don't know if that's useful with you guys, but
it's probably not. And we got,
Yeah. So, but I just thought that's interesting. Like you said, there's different
different ways. Exactly.
Like yeah. So, well, let's talk about maybe who your toughest opponent is.
toughest opponent as far as like a
Is there
team?
anyone that you dread? Like, oh, I'm playing this team week 8, and I got to come up against this guy, or maybe at this point in your career, you're over all that by now, and
Yeah, I mean,
you don't really care.
Like I've always had like a healthy fear of my opponent.
Yeah.
Just to respect knowing that like anybody can get hurt. You're not gonna win or be perfect on every single rep.
Yeah.
You know, when I visualize success before games, I visualize myself making that tough catch, scoring that touchdown, making that big block.
Yeah.
But there's a part of me that visualizes the alternative too. And so when I'm in those situations, I'm able to stay even keel. I don't get too high or too low. And that's helped me throughout be consistent. When you turn on the film, you know where 89 is going to be, and you know what you're getting out of me.
Yeah.
So as far as going up against somebody else, maybe when I was younger, and it's not even like a dread, it was more so like I'm excited to compete, and I'm excited to show my family, and I'm excited to turn on the film on Monday so my peers can see what I'm doing against guys that they claim are the guys. And I've always been that way, and it's kept me grounded, but it's always kept me ascending and wanting to be the best version of myself every day.
Yeah, because you're kind of accountable then too, because it's like, we got to watch this on tape. I want that to look good. I don't want to be like, man. I don't want to be, kind of showed up here.
I don't want to get called out.
Yeah.
I don't want to go home and my girl see me getting whooped. I don't want, you know what I mean? Like it's playing professional sports, but combat professional sports, so much anxiety and personal responsibility to do well and play your very best at all times. There's no room for error, and the parity in the NFL is just too good that like you always have to be prepared. You can never take a play off. They always say, don't take a play off. Obviously, all 117 plays in a game are not going to be full speed, but mentally you don't want to take a play off.
Yeah. You got to stay
got to be locked in.
Yeah. You got to stay sharp, and you got to stay warm. I mean, that's kind of hard with football sometimes because you have such long breaks, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And it's a 3-hour game.
Yep, 3-hour game. Obviously we have our timeouts or whatever in between plays. And then, when you're on the sideline and the defense is out there and offense and vice versa, like especially in Green Bay, we got jackets on, like it's heated benches over there. You're stretching and making sure you're good before every series.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, for sure. Well, yeah, I mean, I guess let's talk about how you found out about our brand too, because I know that I was selling with H. Lorenzo.
Yep.
And, the manager there had asked me to make something special for you. And, we did. And you had some exclusive pieces from our early collections, which this was probably like 5-6 years ago.
Yeah,
right?
that's a while ago.
Yeah. And
it was my 30th birthday. So I'm 35
5 years
now.
ago then,
yeah.
So.
And, I frequent and H. Lorenzo, and I went in there and I was like, yo, like, what's this?
Yeah.
He's like, oh, it's a new brand, Daniel Patrick, la, la. I was like, yo, my birthday is coming up. Can you get me in contact with him or ask if he'll do something special for me? He's like, yeah, like, I'll let him know. And by the way, I appreciate that because you didn't have to do that. But
sure, yeah.
It was awesome. And it was for like a all-white party that I had. And I wanted you to do like an all-white with like the black insert just so it was like different.
Yeah.
And it came out perfect. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, I remember that piece. And yeah, that's cool. So, and then I guess we could talk more about like, I know you told me you have turmeric water.
Mm-hmm.
You could tell me some more about that. I mean, I know turmeric has a lot of anti-inflammatory.
Anti-inflammatory properties.
Yeah.
And it's a water. It's not magic. So you have to actually like drink it and be consistent with it.
Like anything, right? You can't just take it once and be like, cool, I'm gonna have no inflammation for the rest of my life.
You can't like take it once and be like, oh, that didn't work. You have to. Yeah. It's really good for you. It's called Tumi water.
Tumi.
Tume.
Tume.
Yeah, and it's we're on Amazon, Whole Foods, Gelson's, Sprouts, and certain places here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean UCLA, USC, a handful of pro teams. So, and my business partner, Shayna Zadie, she also went to UCLA. She played basketball there. Cool. And then went over to Germany and played basketball there for 5 years. And then came back here. And she hit me like 2013, going into 14, like, hey, got this idea, me and my dad, and she's Pakistani, her and her dad. So, it was funny because when she hit me up, I was like, oh, that's dope. But we still got to go through like my business manager, my financial advisor. We need to plan all of that, even though that's my friend.
Yeah, you can't just jump into it. Yeah, I respect that for sure.
And, we went through that whole deal, and, my business manager was like, yo, that's one of the best presentations I've ever seen. Just as far as vision, performers, what they think, it was really dope. So, it's been a joy to work with her.
Yeah.
And it's been a joy to give back, right? Like any business or anything that you're doing, you always want to give back. And like, what are you doing it for? What is your mission? Yeah, we all want to make money, but at the end of the day, you want to be able to hang your hat on the fact that you're helping, and you're helping people.
Yeah, you want a product that makes people feel good.
For sure.
And that's kind of like one of the reasons why I got into fashion. I like clothing, and I like to make people look good and feel good. Yep. And that's kind of like, that's the driving purpose of where I started from. And like you said with your water, it's good to have a product that can give back in the sense that it helps people.
Exactly.
Yeah, so most definitely. And then do you work any, like in the business, like actively, like are you on a day-to-day thing with that? Like, or are you mostly? So
normally during the season, I'm in on calls as much as I can. Tuesdays are our day off. So on Tuesdays, we always have our call. It's normally about 30 minutes to an hour just to fill me in.
Yeah.
And then in the off season is when like I'm more hands-on as much as possible. If we're meeting with Whole Foods, I'm in those meetings. If we're going to schools and doing samples, I'm at those. So it's definitely been a learning process. And, in the beverage industry, it's a slow burn. You know what I mean? Like it's very, and really any startup, like you have to be willing to take the punches, you know? And
I think people see, you're in Whole Foods and Gelson's and all those places. I think people see that as, now, but maybe it didn't start off there, right?
Oh no. Yeah. Whole Foods took 2 years.
Yeah.
We're on a waiting list for 2 years.
So I know how that is with my business. Yeah. I started out and I was in some good stores, but we only just got into Saks, within the past 2 seasons, and it's kind of like, people know about us now, but then it's like the overnight success.
Yeah,
seems that way, but there's a lot more behind that.
Exactly. Like, think about it. When vitamin water sold, they were 8 years in, something like that, 8 or 9 years in. Like,
see, I when I heard they sold. Just thinking back, I think they're only 1 year old. Yeah. That's what you see.
That's what I was like,
that's when you found out.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you got to look at, like, when you go into any business or endeavor, it's kind of like, I thought it was going to be easier and faster, but you got to be willing to go for the marathon,
Have to. It's definitely one of those things, and what I talked about earlier was, believing in the process. And if you own your process and understand that, like, can't nobody slow it down or speed it up but you own that.
Yeah.
And so as long as you're focused on that process and every day fulfilling, like, your personal legend and whatever you're doing that day, you're trying to attain victory, your own personal victories. And, like, when you do have slight setbacks or whatever it is, you still learn from that day.
Most definitely. I definitely agree from that, because it's like I've had my fair share of obstacles, things that don't go right, production that gets messed up, and you can get upset about it, or you can find a solution and make sure find a solution in right this second, and then also set things in place so it doesn't happen again.
Exactly.
I feel like if you make the same mistake twice, that's stupidity. But if you make a mistake and you learn from it, that's how you can kind of grow. For sure.
No question.
And I kind of am an advocate of, like, you learn a lot from success and you learn a lot from failure. not that you want to fail too much, but you definitely learn lessons and you kind of act quickly to not let that happen again.
Everything that you go through in life, so you got adversity and prosperity, right? And you want to handle both imposters the same. And if you can do that and learn to do that well, then you're gonna be good in life, because you're never gonna be too high or too low. Like, you're always gonna float in your zone. And I always talk to like my friends, like my close friends and my family, about achieving flow, and whatever that is, because it's different for everybody else. But being able to achieve flow is like being true to your process. And no matter what the naysayers say or think, you're the one that has to wake up in the morning and get back to your grind, right? I always say, like, I've never hung my hat on regret.
Yeah.
I've never done that. Like, it's always, whatever I do, I'm going to own that.
For sure.
Because at the end of the day, I have to look myself in the mirror. And if I can't confront that truth, I won't be able to experience great growth.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you have to be able to confront the past and instead of dwelling on it.
Yep.
And then look forward, and that's kind of
agreed.
That's kind of how I operate. It's more like I create the future, so I can't be looking. I mean, obviously, I get inspiration from the past, but I can't be worried about my past in terms of
you can't. You take what you can learn from it, and then you move on.
Yeah.
And production-based businesses like this, like what you're in, and what I do for a living, short-term memory is the number one thing on the list. You can't dwell on things that's gonna stop you from taking your best step forward.
Yeah, and I mean, there's that old adage, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Sometimes you're gonna miss
for sure
the shots you do take, but you took a shot.
Yep.
And you can learn from that. If you don't take a shot, you don't get outside your comfort zone. You kind of play it safe. Then that's where you'll feel comfortable, but you probably won't be too happy. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree. Yeah. I think that, just overall, just be apt to handle both. Yeah. If you're doing well, celebrate your victories, but we still got work to do.
Yeah.
That's
for me. I'm like, as soon as something's done, it's kind of like, okay, I'm on to the next one. It's kind of like, I get the sample in. All right, cool. Now we got to make some changes, or I move on to the next one.
Yep.
If that's done for me now. And it's hard for me with collections because we work like 18 months, like a year ahead.
Mm-hmm.
You're making things, and then it comes out, and you're just like, where you're sitting with your vision is like, you're in the future, but then like you're working on the new collection, and then the new stuff comes out. It's kind of like you're playing catch up, and yeah. So I'm always on to the next one. So that's kind of comes a bit hard, but yeah. So, thanks so much for
sure
taking the time here. I know it's your bye week, and you're out here in LA for the week, and
for sure. Anytime, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah.